This is an advert that captures the greatest striker of a ball that has ever existed. The ultimate golf swing, perfectly executed. Tiger Woods was so good, it didn't seem human. This is the story of how the most successful sportsman in history was brought down. Tiger was the billion-dollar man, but who was this man? What drove him to lead a double life, and how was it covered up for so long? I've spent the 6 months since the scandal investigating the real story. I met all the insiders, people who protected him, slept with him, and the people who brought him down. How much do you know?
They've got the girl, they've got the source, and I think they've got the DNA evidence.
He was good, he was big, kind of rough.
Tiger said that no one else knew about the
That's
good.
a big fat lie.
Part of him wants to just take it by the rafters and bring it down.
My journey starts in an unlikely place, Augusta, a small town in the deep south of the USA. I wanted to find out if Tiger's darkest secrets lay not in his fall, but in how he rose. This place means everything to Tiger. It was here at the Masters tournament in 1997 that Tiger launched himself on the world, winning by 12 shots from his nearest opponent. An unfeasible margin of victory.
Have you ever read the Bible? The Bible proclaims that
13 years later, Augusta is the place Tiger chooses to make his comeback.
it doesn't matter what your sin is. You are born in sin.
Seeking redemption in the segregationist South.
You're going to die in your sin and go to hell.
The golf club is the most exclusive in the world. Instead of a car park, it has a Learjet park. It's no accident that the tournament here is called the Masters, because the crowd here are the CEOs of major corporations. They endorse Tiger. They own America. They are the Masters. It's just really staggering how white it is. The only black faces are people parking cars or trying to sell a bottle of mineral water. It's exactly like it is on the TV, a sea of white, fat, wealthy faces. And one black man, and he's Tiger Woods, putting. How did Tiger infiltrate the heart of white golf and conquer it? The clue lay in the man he singles out to hug when he wins, Earl, his father. The man Tiger said explained everything about who he is. To unlock the truth about Tiger, you need to travel back in time to Earl's past, to the jungle of Vietnam. Tiger was an idea, a project dreamt up by his father who was posted into the heart of war. Earl went to Vietnam a straight American GI and returned mystical, with a vision to change the world, a vision he would channel through a son. I tracked down Gary Smith, America's greatest living sports writer, a reclusive J.D. Salinger-like figure who knew Earl.
Earl's this cauldron, this furnace. Tiger said of Earl, he said, my father's the kind of guy who could slit your throat and then sit down and eat his dinner. Something inside of him was just compelling him to get in the line of fire and stare death in the eyes. And so he went into the Green Beret. Didn't need to, but he wanted to look it dead on. And so he became an explosives expert and a lieutenant colonel in the Green Beret, did 2 tours of duty in Vietnam and was right in the middle of some incredibly terrible things, you know. And he very nearly died several times. One time a sniper shot here and shot here, missed him by an inch, kind of bracketed him, but just never fired the 3rd shot dead on in the middle. It's just things that he just can't understand about why he survived and why he's still alive. And it all became for Tiger in a way. He thinks all this stuff was preparation to craft and create this child.
On his final tour of duty, Earl woke in the middle of the night with a viper across his face. A Vietnamese soldier serving with Earl threw the snake off and shot it. The soldier was called Tiger. They became close friends, and Tiger opened Earl's eyes to Buddhism. Earl believed he'd been saved for a reason, and that his life made sense for the first time. He would change the world, and do it through a son. In a rare interview years later, Earl explained in a calm, quietly spoken way how his vision would unfold.
He has a higher calling that will be manifested later in his life. And I don't know what it will be. Now we all have to wait and experience it.
Earl said that he wanted a son who would be like Gandhi or Buddha. I mean, this isn't, you're not talking about you want your son to become an accountant. You're talking about you want your son to change the world. On tour, Earl met a girl called Tida. He's already married, but they begin a relationship. In his time off, away from the battlefield, Earl plays golf to blot out the horror of what he sees. Earl and his war bride, Tida, move back to a white suburb of LA. Tiger is born in 1975, the year Saigon falls.
He had to deal with racism. Tiger, on his first day in kindergarten, you know, he gets grabbed by some older kids and tied to a tree, and rocks are thrown at him, and he gets racial slurs thrown at him, and so he had a real taste of racism.
The racism only focuses Earl the more on Project Tiger, the child who will change the world, and will do it, he decides, through golf. Earl puts a club in Tiger's hands before he can walk, and starts documenting his extraordinarily fast progress on Super 8 film. He drilled shots with Tiger in the garage for hours and hours.
So right now, I'd like you to meet Tiger Woods and his father, Earl Woods. Would you come out?
He phones the Mike Douglas Show, who book Earl and the Child Wonder.
Come here a minute. Do you know who this is? You know who this man is here?
What's the man?
Turn around and look at him, Tiger.
But Tiger is clearly nervous, fiddling compulsively with his left ear. The pressure is immense, and Tiger misses. Undeterred, Earl steps up his training program. He inducts his son into a new regime. He's going to make Tiger a soldier on the golf course. Because of his connections as a Green Beret, he has access to the naval golf course. It's a very conscious decision to do that because he wanted to create a bubble for Tiger. Joe Groman was the man chosen by Earl to create a boot camp for Tiger. A naval officer turned golf pro, Joe comes to play a major part in Tiger's life. Joe uses techniques usually reserved for new recruits, the heart of which is something called SOP.
SOP stands for Standard Operating Procedure. Right. In the military, everything is done through an SOP, a Standard Operating Procedure. Tiger, his standard operating procedure would be through his daily routine and his golf routine. Everything had a standard operating procedure. Like when he came home from school, the first thing that he had to do was his homework before he could do anything else. And then he would go to the golf course and work whatever he was going to work. If it was going to be irons or sand or putting, for example, you know, he would like try to hit putts like 3-footers in the right side of the hole, the middle of the hole, the left side of the hole. I went to lunch, he was putting. I got off work 8 hours later. He had putted for 8 straight hours.
Earl put Tiger through Vietnam on a golf course. I mean, he would roll golf balls in front of him when he was a kid as he was about to drive. He would do anything he could to distract him. You know, he said, I'm going to put you through what you're going to be facing someday and dealing with pressure.
Vietnam on a golf course worked. By 1985, age 10, Tiger had won junior tournament after tournament. But I wondered how the young Tiger dealt with it. Neighbours Kathy and Gary lived opposite Tiger for his entire childhood.
Actually, he hadn't turned pro yet. He was 96. He was a three-time U.S. amateur champ.
Did you ever see Tiger out playing outside?
He'd come out of the house and he'd run up and down the street with those dogs for hours, just back and forth, back and forth. He'd hit golf balls from there to the park.
What were they like? How did they strike you?
Well, it was really nice, you know. Tiger, of course, I think because his dad kept him, he wanted to make him guarded. He guarded him a lot, you know, and so Tiger was kind of... and, you know, didn't talk a lot to everybody else.
No one ever used to see him with other friends. He was very much kept to himself It seems a bit sad that he didn't have any friends of his own age, you know?
Yeah, he really didn't have much. He was worried that agents and stuff like that would try to get to him, you know, through other people. And that's why he just kind of taught Tiger from little young just to be private.
Back in the day, you know, we kept him in a bubble. And then his parents wouldn't let people get near him.
Did he have, like, friends that you ever saw him with? Or you were kind of like his friends, really, even though you do you see what I mean? You were...
I was his friend for, you know, from 13 to summer 14, he didn't have any friends, you know. I remember telling Tita, telling her, let me take him to the park, because Tiger loved basketball and he loved football, but he was always here, after school, weekends. He was always here. I never saw any friend in his world.
Away from the golf course, Tiger is a social outcast and awkward around girls. His nickname at school is Urkel, after the socially retarded dork from TV sitcom Family Matters. Tiger Woods is a teenager and race riots burn LA. But did Tiger notice what was going on? In an incredibly honest interview, a 15-year-old Tiger describes being black in a white golf world.
Always feel it. You can always sense it. People are always staring at you. What are you doing here? You shouldn't be here. When I go to Texas or Florida, you always feel it because they're saying, why are you here? You're not supposed to be here.
Each time they walked into these white country clubs, him and his father would call it the look. That's what they did, that quiet and that stare that would happen when they walked into these places. There wasn't going to be a direct confrontation with white America. It was just, you know, we'll walk into the belly and we'll beat it. You know, that's how the approach was going to be to deal with racism. We'll walk right inside and take them at their game.
To beat them at their game, Earl wanted to turn Tiger into a weapon. But this weapon needed refining. He was going to increase his powers by wiping Tiger's mind. As a Green Beret in Vietnam, Tiger Woods' father, Earl, had witnessed PSYOPs, psychological operations, wiping soldiers' memories in order to send them into battle.
All right, now walk out there.
Earl wondered what would happen if he used the same techniques on his son.
Good evening. Relax.
He hired a military psychiatrist who could reprogram Tiger like a computer.
Relax. Awake. No pain.
This man was Captain Jay Brunzer. Brunzer embarked on a bizarre and extraordinary program to hypnotize Tiger before he played. In a rare interview, Tiger talked about how he would forget whole sections of tournaments.
I tend to have these blackout moments where I don't remember. I know I was there, but I don't remember actually performing the golf shot.
Brunzer's techniques produced extraordinary results. But is it possible that the great moments we saw, Tiger knew nothing about? I wanted to find out more about this hypnosis. To meet someone who was on the green with Tiger and saw it work up close. We're driving just a couple of miles out of Augusta to a place called Sand Hill, which is basically the Caddies Ghetto, the Black Caddies Ghetto. And I'm going there to meet a guy called Tommy Burnt Biscuits, who was Tiger's first caddy. Tommy.
Yes.
I'm Jack.
How you doing?
Oh, yeah. He had this Jay Brunzer guy.
Jay was, I think Jay was the man. I don't know what Tiger got rid of it. This man had Tiger hitting shots. Like, oh, unbelievable. It was hypnotism. This kid would get his dad out there.
Yeah.
About 30, 40 yards right there, pole, and he hit 2 and 3 irons around his head, over his head. Dead stand right there. Never would hit him. But that close.
So he was hitting all around Earl?
All around Earl.
Without hitting him?
Not hitting.
So it's almost like throwing knives at the circus,
Exactly.
you know that?
Exactly. Unbelievable. Never seen anything like that.
Tommy and the caddies who live here worked all their lives at the Rich White Augusta Golf Club. Black people were banned from being members there till 1990, only 7 years before Tiger won.
I caddied on the tour for 20-some years.
Wow.
Yeah,
Who did you caddy for?
Everybody you can think of.
Can you see Augusta from here?
It's right over these trees. You
Through the trees, you can
Through
see
the trees.
Augusta.
Augusta Country Club is basically right there.
Wow.
Through the trees there.
Tommy was chosen to caddy for Tiger because he knew the course. As a kid, he would climb over this fence at night and sleep with the snakes, like Huckleberry Finn, so he could play on the Augusta greens.
So this fence is basically the divide between rich white America over there and the Masters, and poor black America over here.
Even at the height of the Klan lynchings in the Deep South, blacks would climb over fences and play golf on white-only courses when they were closed. White society's most prominent businessmen played golf, and their caddies were black. The only way these black caddies could be players was to create their own underground culture of golf clubs, with their own secret tournament, the Negro Open. Tommy was part of this history. Before Tiger, he caddied for Tiger's hero, a man called Lee Elder.
Lee Elder was the first black to play in the Masters in that time, and he was probably scared to death.
Scared to death,
Yes,
yeah.
he was. He told me, man, he was so scared, it's unbelievable. He carried a knife in his pocket, and he didn't care.
My God, he carried a knife in his pocket?
I heard.
What,
yeah.
on the green?
Yeah, whatever. He had a knife.
No way.
He had a knife and a 2-iron, so he wasn't afraid of anyone.
Tommy remembers that something happened the day Tiger first played.
When he was 19 years old, when I caddied for him, I think he had got a threatening letter where he just told me, just carry his bag, don't say anything, don't tell him nothing.
But he's never talked about that, has he?
He never talked about it. He was in Columbus, Georgia. He just scared of the South, man.
No one has ever heard of death threats towards Tiger because he was black. It's the first time I've ever heard it is from the mouth of his caddy on the day that he was going around the course.
But how did Tiger deal with it? How did the machine that Earl was building compute death threats?
Tiger would thrive on the threats that were coming in. He wanted to see them. He'd put them up on a wall. He wanted to use this stuff. I mean, his father had learned to use this rage and convert it into something cool and calm and calculating, and the son was learning that too. And so all this stuff was fuel.
He was actually asking to see the death. That's unbelievable.
He wanted to see the vilest of the vile. He ordered him not to throw anything away.
When he wins at Augusta, all this lies beneath the surface. Hypnosis, military drilling, and years of racist death threats turned into cold, calculating fuel. Earl and Tiger had an unbreakable bond, but there was a secret side to Earl, a side he tried to hide from Tiger. Earl and Tida's marriage was not what it seemed. As a result of his son's fame, Earl enjoyed reflected glory and used it to his own ends.
He had, quite a few assistants over there. They were all female. I mean, I'm not really sure what was going on. Most of the time, the ones that I would see, they were blonde, too.
Yeah.
Blonde, blue-eyed. Girls to do the laundry, girls to do this, girls to do that. Just assistants.
Earl wasn't faithful to Tida. He wasn't the perfect guy, was he? He wasn't as a man. Do you think that some of that reflected on Tiger in what's happened subsequently?
Can I no comment on that one? Yeah, I don't want to say anything. All I can say is I know everything, and I just don't want to say anything.
I think Tiger must have been quite conflicted because he had a very secure SOP world, and yet he also saw other stuff, you know, and that must have been confusing, especially at that age.
Yeah. You know, well, I'll tell you what, I was no saint outside the golf course myself, and I, you know, I felt a little guilt on that respect, you know, and yeah, I think that there was a little bit of a, not a real great example being led by the two men closest to Tiger.
You and Earl.
Me and Earl, in those days.
Do you feel guilty about what's happened?
I do feel a little guilt. Because I was the closest guy to him, and, you know, I kept my private life pretty private, but still, you know, I was a golf pro, so, you know, my little world crept into here, and I know Tiger was aware of stuff going on, and I do feel guilty, you know. I was not a great guy myself, and...
They made a machine out of Tiger, but they didn't account for the human being. They didn't account for the human bit of the machine. And Tiger was witnessing this. And that's what Tiger was really absorbing. That stuff is the stuff that is now Tiger's life, the scandal. He learned how to betray. He learned how to lead a double life, and he learnt it off Joe and off Earl.
He was the ultimate golfer, a robot built on a golf course using hypnosis and army drilling. But there was a flaw deep in the machine. There was a glitch, an infidelity chip. (1997), Tiger is 22. He's been trained and kept in a bubble for 20 years. Overnight, the biggest potential cash cow in history is about to be bought by new masters and turned into a global brand unlike any seen before.
There was a handover. He went from his old family, his real family, his parents, and he was handed over to an international management company called IMG, and they became his new parents, his corporate parents, and they live in that building there.
The International Management Group, IMG, is a sports business giant. One best known for managing the careers of stars like Tiger Woods, Venus and Serena Williams, and Derek Jeter.
IMG promote themselves as the world's leading sports management company. But their influence, in fact, spreads way beyond sport, managing Hollywood actors, politicians, and bizarrely, even the Pope. They are massive, discreet, and hugely powerful. I met up with John Merchant, a top corporate lawyer who Earl trusted to do the deal with IMG, a deal Earl needed to get right. Tiger was the kid with the GDP of a small country in his swing, with the potential to make $1 billion.
And was it fair what they were offering?
It's fair what we agreed to.
That wasn't what I asked.
I heard that. I heard what you asked. It was negotiated, let me put it that way. Negotiations very rarely start out fair. The question is, do they end up that way?
Yeah.
I thought the commission they were thinking of charging Tiger, which I was told was their normal commission, was excessive. And so I expressed that. And yeah, I'm one of these guys who, I guess I'm a little outspoken. No, I don't guess that. I am outspoken. So I flat out told him what I was thinking. Ain't no point in meeting.
You said it was slavery.
I told him Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. That commission you're talking about is a slave, makes a slave out of Tiger. You're not going to do that, not on my watch.
What was the actual deal?
good one.
For who? Good for who?
For everybody involved.
Overnight, Tiger had $40 million in his bank account. But he was worth far, far more than that to IMG.
When you come to stand outside IMG, you understand that you're actually in the heart of the Tiger Woods empire. 90% of his earnings came from sponsorship and endorsements. 10% he earned on the golf course is nothing. The golf is just the PR bit, you know, it's the icing on the cake. The real stuff is done down here. This is where the money was actually made.
John did the deal with Mark McCormick, who set IMG up in the late 60s with one single, genius idea: sports endorsement. Before golf, sports advertising was low rent, selling a can of beer to a truck driver. But McCormick saw golf's potential as high-end. You could sell a house or a car to cash-rich madmen executives who played golf. McCormick signed the #1 player, Arnold Palmer, and overnight made him IMG's first endorsement icon. 30 years on, Tiger is the ultimate embodiment of McCormick's vision, with an entire golfing economy balanced on his finger, from luxury holiday complexes in Florida to mega golf resorts built in the desert.
I'm Tiger Woods.
IMG's first and most important endorsement deal for Tiger is with Nike. Their initial strategy is to play Tiger as an outsider, a shantytown kid barred from the golf course. But that was too edgy. So there's a U-turn.
We know what it takes to be a Tiger.
Tiger's brand shifts into a totally non-offensive pan-ethnic product, using a 9-iron to smash open new markets. He's like a computer-generated universal man, every colour and nation in one vessel.
Cool.
Accenture, consulting, technology,
They pick my brain how I play the game.
Tiger's face is pasted across billboards the world over. In public, he's a squeaky clean bachelor. But in private, there's another story. I'm at an empty strip club on the outskirts of LA on a Monday morning to meet Jocelyn James, Tiger's secret life behind the endorsement image. Jocelyn saw Tiger for years. She never asked for money, and I wanted to know what their relationship was like. She agreed to meet me after a shift.
I first met Tiger at a nightclub I was working at in Las Vegas. I'd seen him, hundreds and hundreds of times there. And just one particular night, he was there with a few of his friends, and one of his really close friends was there and kind of walked me out of the club because they waited for me to be done with work. And I walked out with him, and then me, Tiger, and his friend all got in a limo and headed back over to the MGM mansion. We hung out and we ate some food, we watched TV, and then he wanted to have sex.
Jocelyn and Tiger began a relationship that lasted for 3 years. Did he ever fly you anywhere?
Yeah. I went to several tournaments throughout the 3 years we were together. I've been the BMW Championship, Quail Hollow, several, every year for 3 years.
So he'd fly you out to the tournament?
Yeah.
And then where would you stay?
I'd stay at the same hotel he was at, in his room, or in a room that was, in the same hotel, just, a couple doors down.
When Tiger finished playing and came to see Jocelyn, he would act out violent fantasies, such as beating and choking her.
I never thought my life was in danger. I was never, hurt to where, I was never choked to where I passed out. I was never...
So you actually, in terms of the role-playing, what actually happened?
Just, he wanted to call me different names, bitch, whore, slut, just be really aggressive. And, I was willing to do whatever to make him happy. And if that's what it took, then, I was gonna do it.
In private, Tiger sees Jocelyn and 100 other Jocelyns across America, organising his schedule with the girls with military precision. His double life is working perfectly. 2001, Tiger wins every major tournament across the globe in succession. An unprecedented achievement, henceforth known as the Tiger Slam.
I believe. I believe. Louder. I believe.
Earl's vision is coming together, and he's with Tiger every step of the way.
He's picked out a landing spot that is a good...
In 2005, Tiger plays the greatest shot in history. The ball stops for an eternity on the lip, shows the swoosh and sinks. The perfect ad for Nike.
In your life have you seen that? When you become the greatest sportsman that has ever lived, you've touched the foot of God. You know, it does something really weird to your head. It makes you think you're invincible, makes you think you're indestructible.
He was treated on the course like a messiah.
The world came at this guy in a way that, you know, seldom has ever happened. And I was at a tournament where he was so besieged by people that his shirt and pants were ruined by felt tips of the pens.
Do you have a comment on the fans?
You know, women running onto the course and asking to marry him. I mean, this was just kind of mind-blowing.
Sorry, he doesn't have time.
Tiger told his coach, Butch Harmon, that there was now only one place he felt secure. Not on the golf course. Not with girls. But underwater. Diving. Where the fish, he said, don't know who I am.
If you look at it, I got to face this every day. And it gets difficult. And people just have to realize, say I'm at dinner, I'm at lunch, I just want to have, you know, sit there and eat with my friends. And people come up to it and bother me. I think that's wrong.
Tiger retreats into a private world. He even calls his luxury yacht privacy. The man who protects this privacy is Mark Steinberg, Tiger's agent at IMG. A Jerry Maguire-like figure with immense power, whose principle was simple. Say nothing. Tiger becomes a billboard you can paste any personality onto.
They willfully went about constructing a man who added up to nothing. Who, when you looked at him, you knew nothing about who he really was. He's the invisible man. That is genius.
Can you do it?
IMG's masterstroke was to shift Tiger's brand from bachelor to family man by endorsing Buick's family car, the Rendezvous SUV.
It's so quiet in here.
A shift that was reflected in his marriage to a Swedish model turned nanny, Elin Nordegren. This is the image he portrayed to the world, branding and marriage in perfect sync.
The only day that matters is today. Start today with Gillette Fusion.
Gillette invent two clean-cut friends for Tiger, Thierry Henry and Roger Federer, coincidentally signed to IMG.
With Gillette's best shave ever.
But these weren't his real friends. These were his real friends. Nike stablemate Michael Jordan and fellow basketball legend Charles Barkley. And this is where they hung out. Vegas. Jordan, Barkley and Woods were known in Vegas as a rat pack called the Brothers, gambling's ultimate big hitters. The casino bosses called them whales, slang for super high rollers with any wish granted. I'm on my way to meet Michelle Braun, who partied and gambled with Woods and the Brothers.
Hi, is that Michelle? When you were going to Vegas, you were one of the high rollers, weren't you? You were smoking cigars.
I lost $1 million in Vegas one night gambling.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've experienced that.
That's basically a minimum that you can spend on a...
They have what you have to have gambled there before they'll invite you to be a guest of the mansion, yeah.
But gambling wasn't the real reason Michelle was in Vegas. She was a madam, supplying high-class girls to the super-rich elite, like Hollywood actor Charlie Sheen. Michelle was first introduced to Tiger Woods by someone she knew called Jamie Jungers.
She called and she said, I'm here with Tiger and he's got a bunch of friends here and help me. I'm alone and I need more girls.
Wow. She needed more girls. Why was that? Because Tiger...
Because she was outnumbered, yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, and they wanted girls. So, but it was very late. It was like 2 in the morning. And I said, listen, I can't do anything now. It's Friday at 2 in Vegas. I'm sure every girl that's available is booked. And, you know, have him call me tomorrow and I'll see what I can do on Saturday. And so the next day he called.
Did he ask you to supply him with girls?
Yeah, I said, listen, we're going out tonight. We need some more girls. I've got a bunch of friends here. We want party girls.
What does party girls mean? It's code, isn't it?
To me, party girls means girls that'll fool around with each other. They're open. A party girl's open to anything. I mean, the girl said he was great. He was selfish, you know, but he was like, he was good. He was big, kind of rough.
He was into rough sex.
He was, you know, aggressive. He didn't really care about, you know, pleasing the girl. It was all about him, but, you know, they said that he was like, he could go like all night long. He'd have sex, he'd stop for 10 minutes, he'd have sex again.
And how much would Tiger be paying for one of these girls?
The girls started at $10,000, you know, and I had girls, you know, that were regularly available up to $250,000. I mean, I had one particular supermodel I booked, you know, for $1 million.
Do you have any proof that Tiger actually paid for these girls?
I have a wire transfer. He only sent one wire transfer.
You have a wire transfer?
Yeah, but other than that, he paid cash.
I made my best swing I made all week on the 15 today.
Tiger inhabits 2 worlds, a daytime world of bland press junkets and Groundhog Day golf tournaments, and by night, a subterranean world of seedy clubs. He lives a life of entitlement without consequences, girls on tap like hotel porn. But there is one girl he sees again and again, and there are consequences.
Did you know he was married?
Of course I did. But did he know he was married? Is the key question.
But how did you feel being with him, given that you knew he was married?
I didn't really have an opinion, because I didn't know that it was going to go as far as it did. I didn't know that we were going to end up dating for 3 years, and, you know, we were going to end up falling in love, and all that other stuff was going to happen. I didn't really think much about it. I knew he was married, but...
So you fell in love?
Yeah, and he told me he loved me too, a lot. And I knew that, you know, I wasn't going to be the next Mrs. Tiger Woods, and that's not what I wanted.
But what did you think was going to happen?
I was just happy with the way things were. I mean, I know now that I deserve a whole lot more than what I was, you know, subjecting myself to, and I won't ever let that happen again.
You fell pregnant with Tiger, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I was pregnant twice.
And what happened?
The first time I had a miscarriage when I was on my way to go see him at a tournament, and the second time I had an abortion.
Well, that must have been hard.
Yeah, it was. It was really hard. Yeah.
And why did you have the abortion?
Because the relationship that we were in was not how I wanted to bring another child into this world, because, you know, my marriage failed, and kids aren't dollar signs, and I had no intent of getting pregnant. It was something that happened, you know, and I didn't want to keep the baby and have the baby not be able to have the life he should have, or she should have, and I didn't want to go after him for any kind of, you know, monetary thing, because that's not what children are. I would have just, you know, kept it a secret, but that was too much of a secret for me to hold on to. And I knew my heart couldn't take it, and the child didn't deserve it.
It's still really upsetting to you,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's really upsetting. It's, you know, those are my children. So. Sorry.
Jocelyn has 2 tattoos for the 2 children she lost to Tiger, the miscarriage and the abortion, symbolized by 2 hibiscus flowers, as well as a word in Japanese tattooed on her back, loyalty.
I am a good person. I am somebody. I believe.
California, 2006. Tiger is having sex in a beach house with cocktail waitress Jamie Jungers when the phone rings. His father, Earl, is dead.
Here's this God-like father who's everything in your world. Everything that the father had laid upon him, the need to fulfill it became even more once the father dies.
There's not a day that I don't think I'll ever go through life without thinking about my dad. You know, the bond that we've had, you know, I think it transcended just a normal parent-child relationship. I lost my best friend, and so from that standpoint, it's been a tough year.
Tiger pours his heart out to the world, and yet as he talks, you can't help looking at the gigantic ad behind him. It's like wherever he goes, he's trapped by a logo. 8 weeks after Earl's death, Tiger plays in the British Open. The cameras note his every move, not just his golf, but how he seems to be dealing with the tragedy. He appears impervious. If anything, his grief seems to strengthen his will to win.
I think that one was for Pop. Pops. We called him Pops. That was for him.
He said that Earl was with him on every hole.
Yeah. I believe that. Earl was a great dad, you know, to Tiger. You know, people can say what they want, but he was a great man.
Earl is dead, and Tiger's guiding presence is now gone. But Vegas is still calling. This is unseen footage of Tiger and his entourage as he hits town again. So Tiger said very recently that no one else knew about
That's a big fat lie. There are several people in his inner circle that were aware, and that helped facilitate things.
Was there ever a moment where he was scared you were going to get caught?
I mean, if he was scared, then he wouldn't have, you know, left my name at the front desk with my room key. Or, like, there was a lot of people at the, you know, different hotels that saw me and knew who I was there to see and knew what my name was and knew I wasn't his wife.
Why, if everyone knew, did the story not get out? I travelled to Florida to meet Steve Helling, an investigative journalist who spent a decade trying to get behind the IMG wall of silence and had day-to-day dealings with Tiger's agent, Mark Steinberg.
Just pull over here for a second. We'd all heard rumors that Tiger was having affairs. You know, I would get phone calls from self-promoting club owners or somebody who would say, hey, Tiger Woods is here right now with a woman who's not his wife. And I'll tell you, I never went and followed up on it. If I had written something bad about Tiger Woods, I could have lost my access to Venus and Serena Williams or any athlete who was repped by IMG. For the 13 years before the scandal, he was able to dictate what the media wrote about him. And that is a power that most people don't have.
2006, and Tiger Woods is in his hometown of Orlando, Florida.
And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?
In a pancake diner a mile from his house, he meets Mindy Lawton, a waitress working for $8 an hour. Mindy will light the fuse that ultimately brings the Tiger Empire down. Her story is the anatomy of a 21st century scandal, as bizarre as it was true as it was covered up.
He'd always come in with either his wife or a couple other guys, golfing buddies, I believe. I knew he was married, but I figured it was, you know, it was loveless. They never showed affection, they never touched, they never did any of that.
When they came into the restaurant?
When they came into the restaurant, yes. You certainly can. Would you like a booth or a table? Or?
Tiger would look at Mindy over his menu and began phoning her at the Pancake House.
I was shocked. I was in awe. I didn't think it was real. I didn't think it was happening to me.
And what did you think? You'd been invited out by Tiger?
My mouth fell open. I was very excited, but I played it cool.
They met at the Blue Martini Club, a suburban disco where Tiger had booked the VIP room. Mindy then followed Tiger back to his house, following his luxury Escalade car in her sister's car, which she had borrowed. At his house, they had sex in what Mindy called the den, his private study.
Well, I figured it was a one-time thing, so...
You thought it was like a one-night stand?
Right. So I figured that was fine.
You didn't think you'd see him again?
No, I didn't figure I'd see him again.
There then followed a year of the same routine. Meet outside CVS Pharmacy, 5 minutes from his house. Follow Tiger's Escalade at a discreet distance. Make love in the den. CVS, house, den. CVS, house, den. He had danger on the tour, you know, having sex with these girls in hotel rooms, but that wasn't enough. It's like the danger is never enough. You have to keep upping the thrill factor. You have to keep upping the danger. And so it led inevitably to the Pancake House and Mindy, because that was over the road. So he's waiting for Elin, his wife, to go to the hairdressers, and then he's taking Mindy to the house and cutting it fine by minutes. But one day, the routine altered. He was in a rush to go to a tournament and wanted to have sex in the car.
Thank you. You're welcome. He wanted to do it in the back of the Escalade, but it was my feminine time, if you will. So we ended up doing it outside the vehicle. And I noticed a car was parked with its lights on, so I kind of mentioned it to him, and he said, it's nothing.
There was a car parked in the car park?
Yeah, it was several feet away. I mean, it wasn't close, but they were within eye shot, so. And come to find out, that was National Enquirer.
One man knows everything about what happened that night.
Is that Neil?
Neil Bolton lived in the belly of the beast, an editor at American Media who published the National Enquirer, the most powerful tabloid on the planet.
Did they get pictures of Tiger and Mindy together?
They got a grainy, obscure photograph that even by the National Enquirer standards wasn't usable.
The Enquirer wouldn't normally chase the story, but something kept them going. The source, Mindy's mum.
We have got information, really, from someone at the National Enquirer that the story was given to them by your mother.
Like I said, I don't believe it.
Don't believe it?
I don't believe that.
Girl had no idea. The chick had Mindy had no idea.
Mindy had no idea that her mother had
No.
No way.
No fucking way.
No, that can't be true. Is that right?
No. She had no idea her mother initially tipped it off.
Wow.
The mother phoned in almost protective of her daughter.
Right.
And she wasn't paid for that tip. She knew that Tiger Woods was pretty much a scumbag. She knew it. And so
What did she base that upon?
I think Tiger was in the habit of stringing along women and making them believe that they just might be the one.
Right.
If Neil is right, then Tiger's billion-dollar empire was brought down by the mum of a pancake waitress. Instead of telling her daughter this man was a bad idea, she decided to tell a global tabloid.
Mindy's mother said to prove it, follow them tonight, they'll be going out. So the National Enquirer followed them to a parking lot of a church, ironically.
They'd botched the photos first time round, but this time they acquired new evidence.
They retrieved a used tampon.
What do you mean, a used tampon?
Well, the mother said, no, my daughter is having her period. go back to the parking lot where I told you they'd be. And sure enough, there was a discarded, bloodied tampon.
And what did they do with this tampon that you removed?
They saved it in a baggie for DNA, is what I was told.
So the Inquirer have your tampon in a bag in their office?
Yeah.
Like Monica Lewinsky's stained dress?
That's correct.
Or OJ's glove?
That's correct. And that bloodied tampon was used as a threat against Camp Tiger.
2 calls are made. The first from Mindy to Mark Steinberg, Tiger's agent.
Tiger actually gave me Mark's number to contact him, so I contacted him, and he said we'll take care of it.
The second from Mark Steinberg to the National Enquirer.
It wasn't more than 2 hours before Mark himself was on the phone. And boom, what do we have to do to cover up the story?
Mark Steinberg, the man who constructed Tiger's spotless image, is now doing everything to stop the story getting out.
The National Enquirer says, you know what you have to do? You need to be on the cover of Men's Fitness magazine. If you go on the cover of Men's Fitness magazine, we will not publish this story.
A deal is being offered to bury the affair in exchange for an exclusive puff piece in a sister publication. Tiger suddenly appears on the cover of Men's Fitness in August 2007. Sales rise 30%.
I've known for years that they would trade good National Enquirer press for cover access with stars.
The National Enquirer and IMG both say that no deal was done. There was never a deal done. They would deny absolutely your allegation.
That might have been, but the reality is it wasn't. This was a very methodically planned out arrangement.
The reason why the cover-up is so important is that in the 2.5 years between the alleged cover-up and the story finally breaking, Tiger Woods earned $300 million. So that cover-up was pretty financially significant.
IMG is like any powerful institution. They were certain they could contain. The key phrase is contain, contain, contain. But they couldn't. You know, the National Enquirer, if you're a celebrity with something to hide, is more powerful than anything on the planet if you've got something to hide. And Tiger had something to hide.
...2007, and the National Enquirer have the story that could bring Tiger Woods down. It's covered up for now, but Tiger knows it's only a matter of time before it comes out. He begins to crack. He confides to his coach that he is suffering from a recurring nightmare. Even Tiger's enemies hear about it.
Tiger is on the green and about to putt. And in the crowd, there's an assassin. He has this vision that someone kind of comes out from a tree and...
You know, you got to think there's a subconscious thing here to just explode the whole thing, that this false self becomes so suffocating that part of him wants to just take this whole vision and take it by the rafters and bring it down.
Tiger is taking needless risks that push it to the limit.
I never knew when he was calling, but he would call every week at 3 in the morning. The flight out was at 6. So I had all these girls on standby with the, suitcase packed by the front door waiting for me to call.
I was, hearing a lot of rumors about other girls and hearing other girls talking. And I brought it to his attention and he was like, no, no, no. And I was like, dude, whatever you're doing, you're getting sloppy, clean it up, because somebody's gonna find out.
The net is closing in, and the person closing the net is Elin, Tiger's wife, who's getting suspicious.
Hey, it's Tiger. Can you please take your name off your phone? My wife went through my phone. Okay, you gotta do this for me quickly. Bye.
There was a bounty on Tiger's head. Everybody was looking for him. Everybody was following up on different leads.
Even though the Mindy affair was covered up 2 years previously, the Inquirer continued to watch Tiger, waiting for the right moment to strike the right girl.
Mindy Lawton was nobody. She was a waitress, not the kind of woman that America would believe Tiger would have an affair with. Right. At all.
In autumn 2009, the Inquirer found the right girl, Rachel Uchitel, a New York socialite. This is how a 21st century scandal works. Even when bringing down Tiger Woods, make sure that the woman on the cover looks right. Just before Thanksgiving Day, the Inquirer ran the story they believed the world had been waiting for. Tiger Woods having sex with a woman who wasn't his wife. And nothing happened. Amid stories about UFOs, no one noticed, except one person, Elin.
In our subdivision. What happened? What's wrong? I have my neighbor. He hit the tree. I see him and he's laying down.
At 2:32 a.m., the night after the Inquirer story breaks, a patrol car is called out to a car crash at Deacon Circle.
By heavy tree, you mean it was an auto accident? Yes, there was an auto accident, yes. Okay.
An African-American gentleman is found unconscious on the grass next to his Escalade, without his shoes or socks. He has lacerations to the face, blood in his mouth, and a golf club is lying in the road.
For all that I have done, I am so sorry.
Now that Tiger's secret life was finally exposed, he had to rescue both his marriage and his brand. Steve Helling was one of the few journalists invited to Tiger's long-awaited apology.
A lot of the people that were there weren't friends, weren't relatives. They were executives from Nike, from EA Sports, from business interests that Tiger had.
They were all there, deciding whether to stick or twist on their once great asset.
He delivered a prepared speech, and the reason why I know how prepared it was that they handed us all a transcript of it, and he read it word for word. He did not deviate one word from what was written up beforehand and what was given to us.
I stopped living by the core values that I was taught to believe in.
It just sounded like something that he'd memorized. It might as well have been the Gettysburg Address.
Ari Fleischer, President Bush's spin doctor, was hired behind the scenes to rebrand Tiger as a statesman. And it worked. His main sponsors, like Nike, stuck by him. Bank Tiger was far too big to fail.
It shows the money. It was company business.
At the end of the day, Tiger basically is a caddy for the companies that he endorses.
It's like carrying a bag.
So here's the deal. Coming in third place, winning $5,000 and a brand new 50-inch plasma television set. Not bad, Laura Donna, for a day's work.
The girls were paraded on shock jock Howard Stern's show in a Tiger beauty pageant, with viewers voting on their favourite. It was a freak show, much like Tiger's appearance on the Mike Douglas show all those years ago.
It was my birthday. Oh, this was like the best thing ever. Thank you so much.
Two girls didn't appear, Mindy and Jocelyn. They didn't want money or fame out of Tiger. The only thing Jocelyn got out of the whole thing was a replica green jacket, which she strips in. Mindy says the only thing Tiger ever bought her was a Subway sandwich.
The sort of fatal Greek flaw with Tiger Woods, and with a lot of people, a lot of famous people, is that, you know, they try to deny themselves their human nature. Tiger has a lot more to hide than the American public knows. Way more.
So there's more stuff, do you think, to come out?
Absolutely.
What sort of stuff?
I think Tiger will eventually admit to fathering a child.
Are you saying you think someone has a story that they're holding back?
Oh, yeah.
And you know that?
I do know that. They've got the girl, they've got the source, and I think they've got the DNA evidence.
You know, whether it's true or not, the fact is that there could be, you know, a little tiger running around on a golf course somewhere, a child of Tiger Woods's, and the papers might be about to blow this. It's kind of reality banging on his door and finally banging the door down.
Earl created his vision for Tiger in the jungle of Vietnam. Now Tiger has lost his way, and Earl has been resurrected from beyond the grave, not to save his son, but to save the brand. In the latest Nike advert, his words are re-edited out of context to make it appear like he is speaking to Tiger. He isn't. It's a fabrication with a swoosh attached. And that is the truth about Tiger Woods.
Tiger, I am more prone to be inquisitive, to promote discussion. I want to find out what your thinking was. I want to find out what your feelings are. And did you learn anything?
Jason Manford gives his views of dads telling lies and toilet etiquette. He's caught live on Saturday at 10. Well, next on 4, the law are snooping around in skins.